Hey, this is Fred. Short note before we begin. Last week, Matty B was here to review and discuss the 2021 PGA Tour, as we've been doing since 2009. Well, because an old friend of mine, John Madden, passed away days before we were scheduled to record, Matty B was kind enough to share a sympathetic ear in my personal tribute to John. If you were a fan of, or even remember the football coach, the announcer, or just knew him through the video game with his name, and haven't heard our last episode, you may be intrigued by the history and stories of my time with John. Otherwise, this is part 2 of the conversation with Matty B that picks up immediately where we left off. Because our topic changed back to golf, and it was clear that both parts of the conversation could stand on their own, I split it into 2 episodes. So now, it's time to get silly again.
And this game is called Major or Major Motion Picture. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'll read this actual description, and you say it's either a major or a major motion picture. Here we go.
Hi, this is Jeff Perez from Parsons, Kansas, and I play at the Katy Golf Course. Golf Smarter number 827.
Last year's PGA Tour in review and game show, Major or Major Motion Picture, with Matty B.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Well, Matty B, thank you so much for tolerating these stories. But we need to do what we do on an annual basis, well, we try to, and that is I don't know if we're doing the Matty B Awards, but I do want to recap the 2021 PGA Tour season, because there was some really interesting things that happened and changes that we saw that probably blindsided us in more ways than one.
Yeah,
are you like, you're so busy? Do you get to play golf anymore?
Well, this year was a weird year for me in golf because, like I said, this past summer, I was on the road. I was on the road the entire summer. I would come home for 3, 4, 5 days and then be out for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and be home for 3 days and be out for 2 weeks. And then at the end of the summer, I ended the summer into September with a 5-week straight trip on Oak Island. I was just embedded on Oak Island for 5 straight weeks. So
Wow.
I lost the whole summer in terms of golf, but golf became my kind of refuge, both trying to watch it in my hotel rooms, wherever I was, if I could, and also play it. And I found these weird little courses in these weird little, because for the Beyond Oak Island journey, we're investigating treasure mysteries in the country. So I'm not in metropolitan areas for a lot of these things. I'm in East Texas in the middle of nowhere. I'm in the Utah desert out in the middle of nowhere. I played when I had a day off, I tried to play golf and find these little unique courses. I played a course that was the backyard of the hotel, basically, with sand greens. I mean, it was an event. I played a course in Texas where you had to cross the street twice, go through someone's backyard, basically, to get to a tee box. It was just the coolest thing. So golf became kind of my escape. And also some of the things I was doing for Beyond Oak Island this year were like, I was never in real danger, but I would just say some of it definitely pushed the boundaries of what I'm comfortable with physically, like tight spaces. I'm claustrophobic. I had to crawl into some real tight spaces, deep underground. I did a lot of diving, like actual scuba diving. And so golf became a refuge for me, an escape. So I really valued it this year, although I wasn't able to play as much as I wanted to.
Oh, wow. And I know that your son had gotten into playing golf. Is he still doing it too?
Yeah.
You get to do that with him?
I did every time I was home and we could. Absolutely. That's
awesome.
Like, he's my favorite golf partner, as you can identify with, I'm sure. So
I bet.
Yeah, anytime with your boys is the best. So yeah, it was great. The PGA season was so bizarre. There's a bunch of things that happened I loved and a bunch of things that happened that I didn't like. I would imagine we're on the same page. I kind of just, I gotta okay. So the whole thing with like Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka to me was like my worst fear as a golf fan of that happening, and their whole them. I'm just not fans of them. and the way
either of them.
Okay.
As
course,
golfers.
And also just kind of how they conduct themselves. I don't like the whole kind of bro thing. And their little fight I found just kind of forced, and it just didn't do anything for me. And I felt like it was kind of the worst of golf in a way.
Interesting.
It was like gross. It was like, remember we used to get frustrated, you and I, about like the Baba Booey people who would yell Baba Booey after every shot. Yes. I felt like that crowd loved.
You the man, Tiger.
I felt like that crowd, get in the hole crowd, loved this fight. Do you know what I mean? Not to generalize or stereotype, but it just kind of turned me off.
Oh, that's too bad. So how much of that do you think was motivated by this? And I don't even fully understand it, but I've heard about this incentive that the PGA has put out there for social media exposure for the tour. Do you think that forced that a little bit more and made it a little less sincere than it actually was? Or is Brooks really that much of a dick where, it's like, I'm not going to be his best friend.
Yeah. I think definitely true. They probably aren't great fans of each other, but like, if you have that much money on the table and you know that you can move the needle with your social media and maybe get that money, of course you're going to flam the flames of that. Of course you would. You'd be dumb not to. So I don't think it was scripted or concocted in that way, but I do think that they definitely seized upon it, as anyone would. But have you seen that Phil Mickelson, just like he was the oldest player to ever win a major this year, right, also has come in the last minute and probably taken that PIP money, that player impact money that you're talking about? Have you seen this? That's happened the last like 48 hours?
No. So
Phil tweets out, and this is like a developing story as we record this. Phil tweets out like the other night. I go, I saw it. I go, what's he doing? Like, why is he doing this? He tweets out, he goes, hey, can someone please explain to me why we're still getting vaccines for, if you can still get COVID, and I'm not causing any fights here, but I just want to hear from people and hear their opinions. Cause I'm hearing one thing, and he just says it's kind of really provocative COVID talk. And I'm like, what's he doing? So of course his Twitter blows up. Right. And then today he tweeted out something like, I won the PIP. And it really looks like he did this on purpose, and he doesn't give a crap about COVID protocols or, either way, but he knew he could blow up his numbers. And the early reports are, somebody in the golf social media said, early reports are that Phil has won that PIP money.
And is this an annual thing that is an annual, or this was the first year of it, I guess?
At the first year of it, I think that's the idea. Wow. Now, Phil has a deeper cause in mind, because he's been really outspoken about all the money that is not really freed up or allocated to players that could be. So he said something about this player impact money. I forget it was 30 million or 50 million, whatever. He said, it sounds like a lot. It sounds nice. He said, but when you realize that they're sitting on billions, hundreds of millions at least, revenue that we don't have access to as players. For example, our images, our swings, they own all that. Like clips of my swing in a tournament, they own all that. So he's, I think what it seems to be, Fred, and I could be wrong, because like I said, I just was doing some cameos and was reading all this as I walked to do this podcast. It looks like he's kind of trolling the system to win this PIP as an almost kind of social prank, if you will, against it, a kind of a statement saying like, look, I just manipulated this thing and it's short money. You have a lot more money. You need to work with our players and start reporting where this revenue is going. So I think he has a larger point in mind. Phil always seems a couple steps ahead.
Yes, he does. I loved that press conference that he gave in the year when it was like he had a really bad round. And he goes, and they were asking him questions. He goes, "Hey, I won the PGA."
Yes,
It's like, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care how bad I was today.
And the Ryder Cup, when he went after Tom Watson in the press conference, absolutely, that was he had a goal in mind, and that was to change the way we were going about the Ryder Cup. And he thought about it, and he said, I'm going to throw this legend under the bus here. I'm going to kind of go at him. It's going to cause waves, but it'll change how we're doing what we're doing. And he did it. So I think he is.
I wonder if he reached out to him beforehand and said, listen, I'm going to throw you under the bus here.
I don't think so. I think if you watch Tom Watson's reaction, he did not know it was coming. He was pissed.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
So I want to talk a little about the Bryson and Brooks thing. Did you watch the match?
I did not.
Did you happen to watch? You're boycott. You wanted nothing. First of all, do you like the concept of the match that they keep bringing back now every year?
Love it. I don't like it. I love it. It harkens back to the old, Shell Wonderful World of Golf. I think it's all great for golf. I just don't happen to enjoy watching those two particular golfers golf.
Okay. All right. Because I recorded it, I read a bunch about it, and it's like, but then I ended up watching it anyway, and it was kind of fun. And Bryson was making excuses. I haven't played months, and I'm just not coming. And it's like Brooks is like, no, I'm going to beat you to a pulp, and he did. But there was this one shot after it was all over. They still had a closest to the hole and a long drive championship thing, and on the closest to the hole, I was blown away. Bryson it was 202 yards to the pin, and Bryson hit an 8-iron.
Ugh.
It's like, come on.
Getting silly.
Really? And he put it on the green, and, he missed the putt, but it was a long putt, but still 200 yards with an 8-iron.
Yeah, it's getting silly. I mean, me critiquing them is just my personal opinion on those two in particular, but there's also a real lot to admire about both of them. What Bryson has done
as golfers.
Yes, exactly. As golfers. Yes.
Right.
And exactly right. Yes. And the physicality that Bryson's brought to the game is exciting. I think that's great. Brooks, doesn't come from real like country club stock. This guy was on a mini tour and worked his way through, and he's a ballsy guy, and it's fine. But yeah, there was so many other things this year that kind of moved the needle for me, and I thought were really fascinating. And another kind of negative one that I wanted to shout out Eamon Lynch, that golf writer, that Irish golf writer, because Tiger's like kind of new comeback now at the PNC with his son after that accident. He held a press conference the other day, and someone deigned to ask Tiger, what'd you learn on the day of the accident, or something to that effect, or, what happened? And he said, that was all covered in the sheriff's report. And Eamon Lynch is like, no, it wasn't. It was never covered. It was never addressed what you did and how it happened. And he said, you are a high profile figure who drove off the road and someone could have been killed. So as a matter of public record, we have the right to know, was there a pill problem? Because you've been arrested for that before, operating a vehicle. He kind of like went at Tiger, and I was like, good for him, because he's the only one who seems, he didn't do it to Tiger, but no one else. His point was no other press. He said back in the day with those golf beat writers, they wouldn't have just like accepted Tiger's answer and said, okay, yes, we won't ask about it. They would have been like, hey, you've got to answer for this. You've got to at least explain what happened, So I want to give him a little shout out this year, because I was like, good for Eamon, because he's like, I don't know who these writers are or what they were doing, but they all just like kissed the ring, and Tiger's had to answer. He's had to answer no questions about it.
Well, yeah. And he's kept to himself on it, and we may never know.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't think we ever will.
And everybody loves to speculate on it, which I won't do, but it was a mistake.
Now,
clearly a mistake. But
that said, if he can come back again, are you kidding me?
Now, let's hold off for a second, take another break, and we'll come back and we'll say, the question is, will Tiger win again? All right.
And I have a new game, Fred, we're going to unveil tonight, a new game.
Okay. Right after this. So Tiger does come back, but he's come back where he doesn't have to hit every drive because he's got his son Charlie on the Charlie tees. We could talk about Tiger and whether he's coming back or not, but can we please talk about Charlie Wood's golf swing? Are you kidding me?
I mean,
gorgeous.
You talk to the greatest golf minds for years now on a regular basis in terms of mental golf, physicality of golf swing, putting, all those, everything in the game. I would venture to guess to a person of all the guests you've had on, they would be fully impressed by that young child's swing. I mean, he's unbelievable. Like,
yeah.
And you hate to even say it because he's so young, but you start as a fan, you start to think like, what could this kid do?
Right. Right. I mean, you look at NBA players whose fathers played in the NBA, right? When you see the legacy of these kids who were raised in that locker room, and you think like, what can that do? And we have the best example here in the Bay Area right now with Steph
Curry,
Clay coming back, and now Gary Payton, the second. Amazing kid, but for golf, there aren't a lot of successful children of golfers. There are examples, but not tremendously successful dads who have tremendously successful sons.
Right.
But this kid is special.
Yeah, man. He just looks like he was literally born to do it. Every mannerism, his swing, his confidence.
When you compare the two of them, it's so funny. Those videos of the two of them side by side doing this exact same moves.
Yeah, the PNC is slowly becoming like the Masters almost, not in terms of course, it's not a major or anything, but it's almost becoming like an annual tradition of, especially here in the Northeast. I think people get really excited about it because golf is quote unquote over here, in this cold Northeast. And every year you get this tournament. It kind of comes out of nowhere. It's right before the holidays or right after the holidays, right in that pocket, depending on what you celebrate. And it's just this chance to enjoy warm weather looking golf in this kind of charming setting with fathers and sons and daughters and fathers and stepfathers and stepsons. And it's like really emotional and nice. And I think it's becoming like a favorite. Someone tweeted out, I follow a lot of golf accounts, obviously on social media is pretty much all I follow. Someone tweeted out a picture of a wife, like a husband whispering to a wife, and she's got this blank look on her face, like she doesn't like what she's hearing. And the caption that he wrote in the bubble is, "That's right. I'm going to spend the next 8 hours watching a 12-year-old play golf, honey." And I thought there's a lot of guys around the country right now that are going to agree with that. There's just something about that tournament. It's becoming a really fun tournament to watch.
Well, I think that there was the allure of Tiger and his son. Tiger draws attention no matter what. He's proven that time and again.
Yeah.
And with the prospect. So do you think Tiger could ever win on the PGA Tour? Not a major, we'll get there. But do you think Tiger could ever win on the PGA Tour again?
A few years ago on that golf show we had, I kind of questioned his ability to come back. And so I'm never going to make that mistake again. Yes is the short answer. I mean, I don't see why not. If it's the right course, because Fred, at the end of the day, championship golf is about your mind and about who makes the putts that weekend. And I believe he can still putt like a champion because he's got that mentality. He's got the hands. He's born with that gift. So on the right course, on the right weekend, absolutely. I think he probably will.
Wow.
I didn't see anything in his swing. Yes, he was limping around and stuff, but I didn't see anything in his swing that was like, oh God, he can't transfer his weight anymore. Oh God. It was like, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good.
Okay. I don't see it. I just can't see it. Cause he's not 25. He's not 30s. He's gotten a lot older and he's gone through a lot and his body doesn't hold up well. And I would love to be wrong. I would absolutely love to be wrong.
Right.
And see him succeed tremendously.
I think, and then you mentioned majors. I think, certain courses in the British Open he could win on. Look at 61 years old, Tom Watson came within one shot of winning, and Freddie Couples at the Masters for years was perennially on the front page of the leaderboard coming into Sunday. So I think he could do it, assuming he can literally even successfully walk on that leg, which it looks like he'll be able to. Yeah, I don't see why not. Now, will he break Jack's record and all that? I would never go that far, but can he pick one or two more off on a special Sunday? I think absolutely.
Wow. That would be amazing.
Oh,
that would be absolutely incredible. You get a game?
Yeah.
What's your game?
So
what are you talking about here?
We've done the Matties so many years in a row.
Yeah.
I figured let's change things up for 2022, excuse me, to say goodbye to 2021 and kick off 2022.
Okay.
I like to focus on the majors, as you know.
Yes.
And it occurred to me, Fred, that as I was reading about who won which major and kind of recapping and reliving it in my mind, I was like, God, some of these major victories are reading like inspirational sports movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started kind of reading, I started looking up some inspirational golf movies. And I'm like, my God, they kind of fit almost well with some of the majors. So this game was born in my mind, Fred. So I'm going to read to you either an actual description from the bylines of a major championship event from this year, names withheld, or an actual golf movie descriptions. So you must determine, Fred Green, did these happen on a green or on the silver screen? And this game is called Major or Major Motion Picture.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'll read this actual description and you say it's either a major or a major motion picture. Here we go. It seemed the promise was behind him and his glory days far out of range. But against all odds, he just might pull off the greatest win of his life. Fred, is that a major or a major motion picture?
Tiger at the Masters. That was a major.
Fred, that is the IMDb synopsis of 1996 Tin Cup starring Kevin Costner. That is a major motion picture. Isn't this a great game?
I love this. I'm going to be so... please don't tell me that we're gambling on
No.
this.
No.
Good.
This is all for fun. This is New Year's fun.
Wait, wasn't that what Tiger winning the... I mean, couldn't it have gone both ways there?
That's the thing about this game. It could be. Okay. So remember, these are all 2021 majors or a synopsis of a movie.
Okay.
Too old, they said, past his prime. But on one sunny Sunday by the shore, he faced down Father Time and, unlike any before, walked away victorious.
That's a major.
You got it. That is Phil Mickelson, a description of Phil Mickelson at Kiowa this year, winning the PGA Championship, the oldest major winner ever.
Yes. Okay. Good.
You are 1 for 1, Fred.
I'm 1 and 1.
Okay. Yes, right. 1 and 1.
1 and 1.
Sure to win, hands on the trophy, a fiery golfer is forced to withdraw and the trophy torn from his grasp. Humble yet determined, he now faces a daunting comeback for what would be the biggest trophy of his life.
Motion picture. Wild guess.
A great guess, because it does sound like one. But that is from an article about Jon Rahm, who was forced to withdraw from the Memorial Tournament 2 weeks earlier before he won the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines in San Diego.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is so good.
So
I hope,
it's amazing.
folks, I hope somebody's listening, and I hope you're playing along. Tweet out to us.
Yeah, tweet out how you did.
Tweet out how you did.
So all I did with that one, that was from like an article I found online about his victory, and I just wrote, instead of Jon Rahm, I wrote fiery golfer. And
okay.
So these
and
are
that
all
works.
It's incredible,
right?
It sounds like
all
a
right.
movie.
Okay. I'm 1 and 2.
Okay. A down and out golfer attempts to recover his game with help from a mystical caddy.
Golf in the Kingdom, or it's that movie. It's the movie, not Golf in the Kingdom. It's the other one with Will Smith.
So that is you're right. That's a major motion picture. Although this is the only answer I would have accepted that be a golf answer too, because it's from 2000's Legend of Bagger Vance, starring Will Smith.
Legend of Bagger Vance. Okay, yeah.
But I would have accepted if you had said, well, that's from real golf because Justin Thomas has teamed up with Bones as his caddy.
Oh,
So
wow. That's good.
Right?
After Bones was on TV for a while, he went back to the bag.
Man,
Like,
he must really love caddying because you think about the grind of being a caddy. Like,
yeah.
jeez.
Well, you know, and you're working off of a percentage if he wins.
Right.
Where if you're on the network, they're going to pay you.
That's a sweet
That may have been the surprise announcement of the year, don't you
Absolutely.
think?
Yeah, you're
if
right.
We think back.
Yes. If I was still doing the Matties, that'd be the surprise move of the year.
Yes, exactly.
Boy, but it's funny. He said from day one, like, look, I'm not an announcer, I'm a caddy, but I'm just doing this. And you kind of thought it was semantics, maybe him just saying that as a nod to his caddy. He obviously meant it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Got another one? Or
Here's a good one. Yeah, I got a couple more.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because I hope you have an odd number because right now I'm 2-2.
Yeah, let's try and get you over 500, okay?
Okay.
One bow of the head toward the setting sun acknowledges that, yes, battle had been waged, and although victory claimed on foreign soil, honor shall be the true winner.
That was the movie Tora, Tora, Tora. What was it? Was like a World War II movie.
It sounds like it. I'm sorry, Fred. That is a major. That is a description of Hideki Matsuyama's caddy bowing to the setting sun at the Masters.
That was the most emotional moment of the year for me. That was the greatest. When he turned and bowed and thanked the golf course, that was so awesome.
Doesn't get any better than that.
And it will be a motion picture. They'll do a movie about the caddy.
Absolutely.
In Japan. And isn't that funny that I said Tora, Tora, Tora?
That's why I started laughing. Like, you don't know how close you are. I'm proud of this
country,
game.
wrong answer.
I got to give this game to my buddy Shane Bacon at the Golf Channel. He's got to play this on his morning show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
Let's do two more. See if we can get you above 5. We'll get you back to 500, and then we'll get you a win. Okay.
All right. But before you do, I want to take another break.
All right. 2 more.
All right. We'll be right back. Okay, Matty, I'm 2 into this now. Let's do it. Numbers. I'm 3-3. No, I'm 3 losses, 2 wins, 3 losses right now.
Yes, we got to. This one's going to get you back to 500, and then you're going to take it home for the win. Here we go.
Okay.
And as Fred said, play along at home. At the home of golf, the Open Championship means everything: fame, fortune, family. But for this dashing young man of golf, will it mean too much? Is that a major or a major motion picture?
I have to guess here. I'm going to go with a motion picture.
Fred, that is 2016's Tommy's Honor. You are back at 500, my friend.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you tricked me.
Major motion picture. There was a big clue in that description of that film that I got online. They called young Tom Morris the dashing young man of golf. That was his nickname. So there's a clue in there.
Oh,
well
because his dad was far from dashing.
Right. I'm going for that. I'm trying to go
dad.
for the old Tom Morris beard.
Yeah, I noticed. Okay, fear the beard. Here we go. 3-3.
All right.
Here's the game winner here.
This is
how you doing at home?
This is fate and destiny because I have one question left, and this would get you above 500. Here we go for the win. The Augusta crowd is waiting. The gallery's waiting. Here we go. Fred steps up, this winning putt, and here is the synopsis. The comeback seemed complete for the Golden Child, but will another young American pull off a royal victory in a foreign land?
Ooh. I'm going to go with a major on that.
Fred, you did it. You did it. Yes, that is a online synopsis the day before Sunday of the Open Championship 2021. Colin Morikawa, of course, the Golden Child being Jordan Spieth, who he beat by 2 strokes at Royal St. George's. And Fred, you have won the very first edition of Major or major motion picture. Congratulations.
Yay! That's awesome.
Oh, that
All
was
right, I got
fun.
a test for you, Matty B.
Okay.
Something I've been asking various guests, and I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
You've just been named commissioner of golf. What changes are you going to make?
Oh, I mean, right away, I always think about this. As you can tell, I didn't hem and haw. I
No,
truly,
you didn't. You jumped right on.
Well,
top of
I've
it.
fought with people online about this. Some purists.
My.
Is that I just don't see any reason why, and I do see the reasons why, because people tell me their arguments against it, but I don't buy it. I should say that. I don't see why a ball hit in play when you hit a fairway can't be rolled back
with this?
Can't be rolled back out of a divot backwards, no closer to the hole. I will never accept that it can't be. And then people go, well, what's a divot? Well, you have an official. If there's a debate, just like we do with other rules, you call an official over and say, does this qualify? Even put a measurement on it. It may be more than 1 inch, because that's what the argument is like, well, then what's a divot? Someone can roll their ball back out of a depression. Well, then you define a divot. That's all. And then if there's a debate on that, you call a rules official and he'll make the final recommendation. But someone's going to lose a major. I've said it. I think I've said it on this podcast. It's going to happen. It's going to be a Sunday major tournament. 2 great players that we love are both going to hit 300-yard bombs down the middle. One's going to, by luck, roll into a divot, and one's going to not. And the one who rolls the divot's going to hit a flyer because it's covered in mud in this
wait
divot.
a minute. Now, let me ask you a question, because I'm in total agreement with you. I think it's a ridiculous rule. But if the ball, I mean, these guys never hit the ground first. They hit the ball first, then they hit the ground. So does it make much difference? But if the ball's got mud on it and we're playing regular rules and not winter rules, you can't clean it off.
True.
Either way.
And that I would accept more than I just meant the you don't know what the dirt of a divot is. Like, it could be inconsistent. It can cause that ball to do weird things. At that point, it's just luck. So it's like, is it a sand-filled divot? Is it muddy? Is it going to put mud on a ball that otherwise didn't have it and cause a flyer, cause it to spin in a weird way? It's going to cost someone a major tournament at some point by luck. Again, if they hit it in the rough or somewhere that they shouldn't be hitting it, into a divot-filled area that's like off the fairway, then fine, all bets are off. But if you hit the fairway, which you're getting penalized for hitting a good golf shot in that case, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love the spirit of play it as it lies, but there has to be some middle ground. There has to be some common sense. And I just feel like it's just silly. You hit a good drive exactly where you should, and you get a bad lie for that. That just never will make sense to me. I'll never accept that.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. I'll get rid of shorts. There's no reason players shouldn't be able to wear shorts in a professional golf tournament, because here's one reason that backs me up, is that all the PGA wants to tell us is that these are athletes. These guys are good. The days of the fat, tubby golf, these are athletes. Well, guess what? Athletes wear athletic equipment and gear. And if it's 110 degrees at Winged Foot in August, a guy wearing black pants is just stupid. He should be able to wear athletic
just
shirts.
Flat out stupid. Yes, it is.
I would change that tomorrow.
That's so interesting, because when I was making my notes about things to talk about today, I wrote, if you were commissioner, ... And then right under I put, play out of a fairway divot.
No kidding.
Yeah, I did.
I love it.
I'm curious. So when you're playing with people, whether you know them or not, do you ever, like, okay, here's some rules I want to get out of the way before we start playing so that everyone's on the same page, so we don't have to have an argument about it later. Do you ever say playing out of the divot?
Absolutely. Even if I'm playing I never play for big money with strangers. That like rarely happens. When I belonged to a private course here for a few years in Rhode Island, which I have recently left because of my Beyond Oak Island duties, it was just stupid to be paying a membership and not playing. Those matches are different. The rules are established. It's for money. It can be tense sometimes. So that's a whole different thing. When I'm playing with friends and family and loved ones, or even strangers, and $5 does come up sometimes between groups of people, I just make it very clear in general terms, unless something specific comes up. The catchphrase I use is like, this ain't the US Open. Do what you got to do. Yeah. If it means that much to you and you're going to cheat, there's nothing I can do anyway. This ain't the US Open. So like, sometimes a guy, now I wouldn't roll it back because I'm so scared of being called something. Do you know what I mean? But if a guy did it and said, hey, can I roll this back? I'd say, yeah, no closer to the hole. Go ahead. Now improving your lie in the rough or in the woods, I wouldn't be cool with that. But I found myself saying that a bunch of times to people like, hey, this isn't the US Open. Do what you got to do.
Okay.
And it might cost me $10 here and there.
Yeah, right. What about a footprint in the bunker? If your ball lands in a footprint because you're playing a public course and not everybody's a good golf citizen. How would you deal with that?
Yeah. So it's two separate questions. As like a PGA, what I think they should do, they should hit it as it lies in the bunker, because unless they're trying to hit in the bunker, that's an area you don't want to be in terms of the overall thought. It's a quote unquote penalty area.
It's a strategic move. Yeah. Right.
Although they're so good at it, they might hit in there, but you know what I'm saying? I think.
Yeah. Right.
But in a friendly match, if a guy hit a ball into a large footprint in a shitty winter bunker, absolutely. If he wanted to roll it backwards, I wouldn't have a problem with that. In fact, one thing about golfing in New England that's very difficult is the bunkering. And that is because in the wintertime and the spring especially, the bunkers, unless it's a really nice course, the bunkers become uniquely hard and muddy. And it's not even like a sand shot. It's like a thin layer of sand over hard packed mud. And that's a whole different ballgame. That's a really difficult shot. So you practice on these nice sand splashes and you become good at it. And then as soon as November hits, it's like
it's hard pan.
You can't play that. So I have no problem with people if it's not a well kept bunker in the wintertime, rolling it back.
Interesting. Any other rules you would change or amendments you would make immediately as being commissioner?
Those two leap to mind immediately. I would do some more. Two more things come to mind real quick. Okay. I would definitely do some mixed events, or at least one mixed event. I love watching the LPGA Tour, and I would love to see, well, it's actually two suggestions mixed into one, because the other one was I want to see more match play events. Okay. And the second point was I want to see more LPGA Tour players play. So why don't we do some mixed events with the guys and girls and make the match play? So, Phil Mickelson and Lexi Thompson against Tiger Woods and Lorena Ochoa. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I would love to watch that. And I think a lot of people would too.
What about the match?
Yes.
I'm bringing male, female teams on the match.
100%. I think that's destined to happen. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the match. I love the idea of it. It's hard to make it good TV because, golf is so great on television because there's always something going on. You can cut to it, right? But now you have the thing about the matches is like, okay, now they're driving to their ball.
Yes.
But you got Phil Mickelson talking about how to make the shot. Now this year, it felt like, to me, Phil went, he was like in the announcer's booth sitting next to Charles Barkley
so
and their announcer. And Phil kind of mansplained things a bit too much for me. I think he overdid it. But in the past, the lessons that he gives, the insights that he partakes in, is that the word I'm looking? No. But the insights he provides are mind-blowing.
Incredible.
It's so good.
Incredible.
So good.
I have one last final question for you.
Okay.
As we recap 2021 and look to 2022, and it's similar to your question about changing things in golf, but it's more personal to you. And that is, do you have a 2022 golf resolution for yourself, like a New Year's golf resolution?
Well, I never intended to be a single digit handicap golfer. That was never my goal. It's like, and I've kind of like gotten there. And so I'd like to maintain it. That would be a wonderful thing. I want to get better at putting always. Just relax about the gambling stuff. Again, it's something I've talked about a bunch. It's like, I just don't like the gamble. But as my son who loves that part of it, it's like, why do you play golf if you're not gambling? I mean, what's the point? Isn't that golf was started as a gambling game? You know, and so I just to get that out of my head. So I'm kind of. I've talked about this before, so it's an old story, but that would probably be and change from what was the question?
New Year's resolutions for golf.
Yeah, lose the 5 hybrid and go to a 5 wood.
Oh, I like it.
A 3 hybrid and go to a 5 wood.
I love a 5 wood. I've been hitting the 5 wood actually this season. I love it. I'm
so
simpatico with you on the gambling. Gambling has never been a big part of golf for me ever. I do it. I have, my favorite matches though have been with my dad and my cousin, and we play a points game because there's all different abilities there. And
sure. Well, that's what a handicap is.
Yeah. And he invented a points game where you get a point for hitting a fairway, a point for hitting a green and reg. You get -1 for a 3 putt. You get +2 for a birdie putt for a 1 putt if it's for a birdie. Ooh. So and end of those rounds, it's pretty amazing. You can have a high handicap and a low handicap, and it can be real damn close. It can come down to a point or two.
Do you have to give strokes to the low handicap? Have to give strokes to the high?
Yes, basically what we've learned to do is we've done little tricks. Like for example, his green in regulation is an extra stroke than ours. For example, right? So he can right. So to get a point, he only needs to get a par 4 and 3. We got to get in regulation. Things like that. So you're winning, 22 to 21 to 20 or something like that. But point is, we play for a beer, quote unquote. And when you're standing over a 4-footer to win that quote unquote beer, which half the time isn't bought by that person who lost anyway, you're like, you feel like your life's on the line. You know what I mean? Like, so the whole money thing for me, I don't need it.
Okay, so here's one of the things about the gambling part that I don't like. Is that every hole going, okay, you're 1 up. Okay, now you're down 2. It's like, I don't want to look at the scorecard. I don't want to know. Just tell me at the end what I owe you and we're done. Right.
Got it. Yeah.
But this ongoing scorekeeping makes me crazy.
I get no, and this is just me, and it sounds like we're kind of cut from the same cloth, but like I get no, the pure joy and passion and love I have for golf. And this is honest to God true. I'm not trying to be altruistic or talk like I'm above gambling or something. It's just for me, someone give me $50 or $100 does nothing for me. Like it moves the needle a little bit. It's fun or whatever. Yeah, I got $100. But it's like the joy and passion I get out of golf. I don't need a cent on the line. Like I said, I got a 4-footer for a beer. I feel like my life's on the line. Whether it's $100 or a beer, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, why am I so nervous? It's my dad. So I love that. For whatever reason, money and me and golf does nothing for me.
Wow, interesting. So my buddy and I, Neil, who I've talked about a lot, and I've talked about this game that we play is, so we have different things that we keep track of, but I want to convert it to points. I love the idea of converting to points, and that is match play, stroke play, number of putts, and who has the shorter putt when both of us are on the green.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Right?
Yes.
Which is interesting about that because if I have so I hit first and I get on the green in regulation, but I'm not close. And I accuse him of this. No, it's not what I'm doing. It's like, yes, you are. He's like, he'll come up short on the greens just so he can chip it up and get close to the pin. Like, oh, I won that one.
I love it.
Strategically.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're right. Making those all points. It's like, how many points did you get on this hole? You got 1, 2, 3. But a birdie putt gets,
2
takes away point. Yeah.
And to your point, that's exactly right. So that points game, for example, a 1 putt is worth 2 points, right? So if you don't, even if you're like, if you've had a terrible hole and you've taken you 4 to get there on a par 4, but you're on the fringe and you're short-sighted, all you got to do is somehow get the ball anywhere near the hole and you're going to walk away with 2 points.
Even within 10 feet.
Right.
No, I mean, it's like,
right.
And you're going to get the points.
So it's so fun. One thing about the handicaps too, is I just realized I have this goal where I did crack like you single digits, but the thing is now my new goal is to get it down enough where the course rating doesn't bring me up to double digits again, no matter where I play. So for example, at my course, I'm like an 8.5 or whatever. But when I play my father, I think I was like an 8.57 or whatever the number was. When I play my dad's course, I go up to like an 11 because the slope is so much more difficult. Like you go to 10.
Oh, wow.
So, because they play the back tees and it's a more difficult course. So like my goal now is, can I get a handicap that stays at a 9.5 or lower no matter where I go, besides, of course, like winged foot or something. But yeah, so that's kind of my new goal now, is to be like, because I feel like I'm a fake singleton handicap. You know what I mean?
The play, and that's something we haven't talked about at all, and that is which tee box to play.
Oh.
And did an interview a couple of weeks ago with a guy in the UK who has this little 9-hole course, and they say if you shoot between 80 and 90, you play from these tees. If you shoot from 90 and 100, you play from these tees. It has nothing to do with your end. It's just like if your average score is, and get your ego out of it, and don't slow everybody down because you think you should be playing the blue tees instead of the whites, right? But you're a crappy golfer.
It's so true. I say to everyone, so many people I say that I play with, I say, look, 62 to 6,400 yards is enough for anyone, unless you've got your name on your shirt, and you're getting paid to play, then that's too short for you. But like 10 handicap, an 8 handicapper to a 10 handicapper, a 12, 13, down to even like a 7-6. I'm sorry. 6,400 yards is plenty of golf course.
And I never look at the yardage. I just look at the rating and slope.
Yeah.
Mostly the slope.
It's more about that. You're right. It's more about the rating and slope. You're right. The difficulty of the course. There's no doubt. Because it's the green complexes that they're going to kill you anyway.
Right. I mean, like there's some courses that are short, but they're short. You need a really good short game to play that course.
That's right.
And the greens are all undulated and crazy.
That's right. Or
all these things.
Or quote unquote short, like a 6,200 or something. But there's like 5 par 4s that should be par 5s. You know what I mean? So it's like a par 69. You think, oh, no big deal. And it's like, but there's only one par 5, and these par 4s, you're hitting hybrid 198 yards into the greens. Like, good luck. You know what I mean? It's good luck playing the blue tees on that course. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think just common sense and check your ego at the door. Definitely.
Absolutely. Lose the ego. Get it out of the way. Matty, I mean, you and I can talk for hours.
All right.
This has never been an hour and a half podcast, but today it is.
I usually do that to you.
You usually do, because we just miss each other. It's like, when we haven't played golf together in over a decade at least.
Yeah, it's silly.
And haven't seen each other in just as long. So I'm hoping that we get to do that 2022. Hopefully there'll be travel involved.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'd love to see you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was great talking to you and catching up.
Thank you.
Good luck this year. Safe travels, bud. Be careful out there because you're crawling around in the mud.
Yes, sir. And
I hope you find what you're looking for.
I do too. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, all right, bud. Well, great talking to you. And thank you again for being such a longtime supporter of Golf Smarter and hanging with me.
You're the best, brother. We've grown in this thing together. We're getting a little more gray as we go here, but I love it. I appreciate the friendship. Thank you.
Today's episode was introduced by Jeff Perez, whom you may remember from just a couple of weeks ago as the guy who left his career in manufacturing to purchase a 9-hole course in Parsons, Kansas. It's a fascinating story of a guy who knew nothing about the golf industry but wanted to pursue his dream. He did this episode intro before I interviewed him. But when he wrote to me and I saw his email address as katiegolfproshop.com, I was really curious to find out who he was, which ended up in a full episode. Well, an interesting follow-up this past week. After he heard my John Madden stories, he sent me a text that said, my superintendent reluctantly told me Wednesday he's leaving the Katie. I love this kid, but understand it's time for him to move on and improve himself. I was feeling pretty mopey and defeated until about 15 minutes ago. Your story of John telling you, don't worry about the horse being blind, just load the wagon, was the slap I needed to reset my attitude. I feel like a different person. Thanks. Well, there you go, Coach. It's my honor to pay it forward in your honor. So what about you? Why don't you make yourself eligible to win our next prize? Actually, next episode, I will announce who won the drawing for a box of Golf Smarter branded balls and share with you what our next prize is going to be. Now, to enter, Click on the Hey Fred button at GolfSmarter.com and let me know what you'd like to introduce our next episode. I'll assign you an episode number. Then you call our toll-free Golf Smarter listener line to record your show open. Here's some interesting news. Golf Smarter has made the short list of 8 selections in the Golf Podcast category for the very first Sports Podcast Awards. What will it take for me to come out on top? Well, your help, obviously. Please go to sportspodcastawards.com and vote for Golf Smarter as many times as you're physically able, and maybe, just maybe, we'll hear our name announced in March of this year. What's it all mean? Actually, nothing. But it's nice to be in that select group being considered. The shortlist announcement came in last week, and no votes have come my way yet, because I haven't told you, but I'm ready for your support. I'll leave a link in the show notes to send you right to the golf shows. So keep your eyes open, as I'll be putting more information on social media and sending links via an email blast. Lastly, I'm going to do something that I haven't done since like December of 2019, and it's take a couple weeks off. Our next episode will be published on Tuesday, February 1. Our next Golf Smarter episode, Golf Smarter Mulligans, is still here. And when I return, I'll bring back Sam Hahn of Lab Golf announcing their newest lie-angle balanced putter. And coming in March, Golf Smarter Mulligans will be dedicating 2 months to a specific guest. I know we've done it for the past couple years and featured Tony Manzoni and have had great response, but I was thinking about featuring someone else this time, or not. Dr. Joe Parent of Zen Golf, Jim Waldron, the Yips Whisperer, Jem Venetos, Stillness. Or should we bring back Tony again? Because his instruction is so helpful, he's nowhere else on the web, and he's gone forever. But I need your input to help me decide. Is it Tony Manzoni, Jim Waldron, Dr. Joe Parent, or Jim Venetos? Either click on the Hey Fred button at GolfSmarter.com and let me know, or vote at Golf Smarter on Facebook or Twitter. All right? I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great couple weeks. I'll talk to you in February.